It is very difficult to defend somebody who is clueless. It is very difficult to defend something that has rotten. It is very difficult to defend something that is not defendable. So the only way you can do that is just for you to do what does not make sense, because the system entirely does not make sense. So if the system makes sense, when you are defending the system, you will make sense. But in a situation where the system don't make sense, your defense seems to be rubbish. Why is it that if anybody just entered APC or someone begin to support APC, the person will automatically lose his brain, he will lose his thinking faculty, and the way people reason, he will just be thinking opposite of it? How come Bwala is telling us that he's bargaining with 45,000 in London, that inflation is global, that food inflation and other commodity items is global, that we should not even call out the federal government because food items and other necessary things are going up? Look at the oil he dropped there, say he bought for £20 sterling, which is about whether it's 38,000. Now, before you post as a public figure or as a political figure, because a lot of people are going to read what you are going to post and they are going to judge you by what you post, you should think twice. I expected this man to reason before he posts. Now, if you are trying to justify that the cost of goods in Nigeria is the same thing with the cost of goods in abroad, have you taken time to think or ask questions? What is the minimum wage in London? We are talking about people who are receiving some workers do receive maximum 4,000, some receive 3,000, some receive 2,000. I'm talking about in pounds. So when you compare them to the salaries in Nigeria, does that post make sense? People receive let me say 8 million naira, 7 million, 9 million, 5 million, depending the kind of the work you are doing. So when you compare someone receiving 8 million, 7 million, buying oil of 38,000, that does not change the salary status. Because when you people are talking about global inflation, the minimum wage in Nigeria, is it commensurate with the inflation that is going on? I do not even blame somebody like Bwala. I blame the Nigerian Labour Congress. The Nigerian Labour Congress, who allow the workers, the laborers in Nigeria, to go to work and spend almost all their salary on transportation to work. They are not talking about their feeding, their bills, house rent, and so on and so forth. So it is a very, very dangerous thing to see someone, typing like this without even reasoning. Well, Bwala don't used to reason like this before anyway. That is why I'm surprised, because once someone begins to support Tinubu, because it is very difficult to defend somebody who is clueless. It is very difficult to defend something that has rotten. It is very difficult to defend something that is not defendable. So the only way you can do that is just for you to do what does not make sense, because the system entirely does not make sense. So if the system makes sense, when you are defending the system, you will make sense. But in a situation where the system don't make sense, your defense seems to be rubbish. How could you try to defend the food inflation in Nigeria? A military man that is newly recruited he's earning, let me say, when you put it in pounds, that is about 25 pounds per month. I'm talking about a military man that he don't even know the day he will lose his life. Carrying AK-47, facing the Boko Haram, the bandits, they are paying him 50,000 naira. And you are here talking about global inflation. How does global inflation has to do? Where do they pay soldiers 25 pounds on earth, if not Nigeria? Where? Which country do they pay soldiers 25 pounds in a month? Bwala. It is time for us to begin to use our senses.